Hi everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Money Manifesting Paradigm 2. This awesome training that we're doing today. So, I haven't been live in a couple weeks, so excited to connect with you guys. So when you jump on, say hi to me, that way I know you're here. And this is going to be an awesome training. So anyone that's watching live, this is going to be magic money vibes for some people. I can already tell. Can already feel it. Can already feel how it's going to go today. Okay. So, I want to pull a card first. We're going to pull a card to start. To just see where everyone's at. Everyone that is intending to watch this. Everyone that will watch the replay. Everyone that will watch this when I am a multimillionaire and they want to learn my secrets. All of that. So, yes. Yes. That's the card. It says yes. If you were asking yourself a question before this video, or if you've really been pondering on something over the last couple days or hours or whatever it is, you just got your answer. The answer is yes. Just say yes. That's funny. I feel like that was like the confirmation from my guides. I'm going to be a multimillionaire. Next one is dance. Do something to shift your vibration. So yeah, if you're feeling a little you're feeling a little like bleh, you know what I mean? Just dance it out. Shift your vibration. Physical movement changes the vibration of the body and changes your energy and lets some of that pent up energy out. But also because sometimes when you're doing something physically, you don't really have time to focus on what was like plaguing your mind for so long, you know? So it's like you're actually just distracting yourself, and then you release the resistance. And then once you come back to that topic, you weren't building up that resistance because you were focused on moving your body, right? So there's so many benefits to exercise that is like so beyond like physical or even emotional. It's like that you're changing the energy around, you know, by literally moving energy. We're all just big balls of energy. Okay, so let's get started. If you jump on live, make sure you say hi to me because I want to know you're here. What I want to talk about is money manifesting paradigm 2. So what most money coaches don't go into is how to actually have the experience of having the money after you manifest the money, right? And I've seen this time and time again. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't have a job if every money coach taught their clients how to actually have the money once they've manifested the money, right? I probably wouldn't be in business as long as I am. But that's how it works. Most money coaches teach you how to manifest money. And that is so fucking awesome because that's where 99% of people should start. Should absolutely start there. You should start at how to actually manifest money and how to actually bring that into your experience. After you have it, a whole new set of skills, a whole new mindset, everything needs to change because what you were focused on is just how to bring in that money. And that for some people has so much pent up resistance around it. There is so much resistance around earning the money, manifesting the money into their experience. Once you overcome that, you can literally overcome anything at that point, right? Nothing is going to be more difficult than learning how to manifest money if you were in a place of resistance around manifesting money to begin with. So the good news is that like you've already done like 99% of the work, right? And that's where most people stop though. And that's why lottery winners go broke. That's why some people with businesses that have been running their business for 2, 3, 4, 5 years don't have a profitable business. Their business is not profitable. They can make money, but it's not profitable, right? They don't have the experience of actually having the money. So what I will say about that is that most money coaches, even though I'm saying that in kind of like a provocative, like most money coaches don't teach this, so I'm teaching this, right? That's really not too much of the intention behind it, because that is so needed. It's much more needed than actually teaching someone how to have the money that they've manifested. So my experiences working with coaches have led to massive financial abundance. I'm sure most of you know the story of Isaac and I winning $100,000 off of a scratch ticket twice. I won't get into that story, but if you do want to know that story, I'm sure I have a video in here in this group explaining it. Actually, I'm pretty sure I redid that whole training back in June, and like what I would do different and stuff like that. It's actually a really cool training because we had a crash course in how to have money right away, right? And there's so many things that we did not take into account. So, and then when you jump on live, say hi, give me some hearts. So how to have money instead of just manifesting it, right? Or once you've manifested it, because really the shift to make here is that having money is the second point of the manifestation. So, like Abraham Hicks and all of those, manifestation teachers or whatever, talk about picture yourself having it, put yourself in the space that you're actually having what you want. And a lot of times we think we would be happier once we have what we were trying to manifest. And that's why we want it to begin with, is because we have the idea that it's going to actually make us happier when we have it. So, the whole premise of that is basically getting into those happiness vibes now, get into that joy, get into that abundance, feel that now so you can attract it into your experience. What is not taken into account is what actually happens, because when you focus on a manifestation, typically you're focusing on the positive aspects of that manifestation. You're focusing on, so the $100,000, for example, we were focusing on paying our bills. We were focused on buying groceries, but also we were focused on like going to Mexico. Like I had that written down as one of our manifestations too. Like I had pictured what to do with that $100,000 to some extent, and not as detailed as I could have done it to make it a little bit more effective for us and us actually experiencing that money. So the point of that being is that you'll focus on the positive aspects of it. What you're not going to focus on typically when you're manifesting something is going to be the negative aspects of it, or the more uncomfortable or unpleasant aspects of that. Taxes being the first one, right? And that kind of goes with hand in hand with a business income too. Like just because I'm talking about the lottery, money is money. Typically when you earn money, you have to pay taxes on it. So not putting that, piecing that together in our manifestation, not piecing together uncomfortable conversations that we'd have with our family members around that, or our friends or something like that. You know what I mean? Not anticipating the awkwardness that might ensue in some of those relationships due to the change in our financial situation, right? There's so many little parts of that manifestation where you view them as maybe negative aspects of it, or you don't want to focus on them because you really don't want to create that experience. And in all honesty, unless you've had the experience, it's hard to imagine what you would do in that circumstance, right? So if you translate this back to your business, if you have a business that's making $5,000 a month or whatever your number is, because it really doesn't matter, $5,000 a month, but you want to be making $10,000 a month. And that feels like such a big upgrade for you, right? Going from $5,000 to $10,000 a month. You might not, because you've never had the experience of having $10,000 in a month, there might be things that you're unprepared for at that level, and there might not be, and you could totally like foreshadow everything perfectly exactly how it's going to go. The point being that you don't need to focus on the negative aspects in order to like bring in or lock in the manifestation. But when you are more diligent in like coming into the full picture of what it would look like, coming into the full picture of what that manifestation would look like, even if negative thoughts come up in your head, determine if that's your intuition letting you know and kind of warning you about what might occur if some of this were to come up, right? How would you handle that situation? How would you handle discussing a large lump sum of cash with your parents or your friends or something like that? Or how would you handle being at the point where you can quit your job because you've made so much money in your business? Like, you might picture the freedom you're going to have every day, but the other aspect of that is going to be actually quitting your job, right? Or, you know, letting your boss know, letting your coworkers know, letting your parents know. What are they going to say about it? That's just as equal and valid of a part of the manifestation as the positive aspects of it, right? As the other side of it. So I don't think anyone's ever accused me of like this, of being like toxically positive or like bypassing with positive spirituality or whatever like that. So not saying anyone's particularly said this about me, but like, I know I see the memes floating around about the toxic positivity. If you're someone that is kind of, maybe you're coming back down a little bit, maybe you were so up in the clouds, or you had so much positivity or toxic positivity where you've demonized like negative aspects of a manifestation, maybe bring it down, like come back down to earth a little bit and like fully feel what that experience would feel like, because you're still manifesting, even if you're focusing on the negative aspects. Like, the only thing that's making them negative is like your label on them being negative, but it's still an aspect of the manifestation that you can pay attention to. So getting back on track here, when most money coaches teach you to manifest money, they teach you how to bring in that money, actually picturing that coming into your bank account through a client payment. They're teaching you the money mindset tips to actually bring that into your experience. But like I said before, I wouldn't have a job if the money coaches teach the other side of that, which is actually having the money, because I have so many examples of super successful entrepreneurs that can bring in 10, 20, 30,000, and it goes out at just as fast as it comes in, right? And so is it actually manifesting the money if once you manifest the money, you actually spend the same amount of money? No matter what it is. I mean, if you were manifesting $500 and then you immediately needed to spend that $500, did you actually manifest the $500? Because you could bring it in, you couldn't keep it, right? You brought it in, but you couldn't keep it, or you couldn't manage it. You could manage it, and you can manage it, and everyone has the potential to do that, especially if you're at the point where you've already manifested money. The rest of this is easy. It's just coming into what it actually is to have that money sitting in your bank account. So diving right into like what that looks like. And actually, before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about some of the habits around that behavior. So because my new course, not Unbound, I keep wanting to call it Unbound, probably because Unbound was so awesome, but no, Intimacy is all about basically women that know they can manifest money. So they know they can bring in money, they know they can manifest it, but they can't keep it, right? They can't keep it in their bank account. They're managing their money poorly. They're always back down to zero before they manifest more money. They're used to being broke, and so getting below a certain amount in their bank account doesn't scare them, right? Because they know they can manifest it right back up. But they do things like maybe spending recklessly, being super late on bills, or like mismanaging financial priorities, spending money before they have it. You know, it's already spent by the time it gets in your bank account, that kind of thing. Taking on a lot of credit card debt. Like those are all money management, like points of awareness for us. And it is an energetic thing. And I don't think that it's always just as simple as saying you need better money management skills. I think that there is so much tied up in that. So that is where the Intimacy program really comes in, because Intimacy is basically like homework assignments from me. You have a habit that you know is not allowing you to be as successful as you can be with your financial situation. And we are addressing what that habit is. And then what we are doing is we are working together, like super accountability focused, different exercises to be able to clear that. And it is in a group of environment. So you're going to be in a secret Facebook group with a lot of other people, a lot of other women that are maybe transforming a habit, right? Because there's an energetic component of that. Just like there's an energetic component of you manifesting money. And think of all the stuff you had to clear. Think of all the family patterns. Think of all the negative mindsets. Think of the Think of everything you had to clear to manifest that money. And it's going to be the same thing when it comes to actually having the money and being able to sharpen your money management and your financial management skills, right? It's going to be the same thing. There's going to be energetic stuff that shifts, even though it's a skill, a hard skill, right? So that's just what I wanted to talk about with the intimacy program really quick, but that's not really mainly what we're talking about here. But it comes down to a good point that if you are someone that can bring in a lot of money, but you notice your expenses typically like match that, it's a profitability thing. So, and this is mostly speaking to business owners, but it really could be for anyone, even someone that just has a personal budget. You have to still be profitable in your personal life too. Like, even if you work a job, you still need to be profitable, right? You still need to be like bringing in money and keeping some of it. You can't be in the negative with it all the time. You know what I mean? So, hi Camilla, thanks for joining. Good to see you. Hope you've been well. So, how to actually have the money after you've manifested it. We're getting some good afternoon light right here. Hi Christine, thanks for joining. So, thank you for the art. That palm tree one isn't mine. My mom actually painted that, but the rest are mine. Okay, so how to actually have the money. So this is what most money coaches aren't going over, is how to actually have the money once you've manifested it. And what it comes down to, if you have a business, the best thing you can do for your small business right now, let's say your business is small and it's not quite where you want it to be yet. And you're kind of stressing yourself out, like, how am I growing this business? Like, what, how am I bringing in more clients? How am I, whatever it is, like you have this small business that you're just like flurrying yourself up about how to make it bigger and make more money, manifest more money, right? And maybe you're working on that. Maybe you're good at manifesting more money. Maybe you're good at, like manifesting coffees or days off work, or like you're good at manifesting, right? You know that about yourself. So you feel like you already got the money manifestation on lock. You feel like there's another like component to that. You feel like there's another piece of it that just isn't quite clicking. Like you feel like the money courses you've taken, the work you've done, you feel capped right now. And normally if you feel capped, because I know this because Isaac and I have felt capped at our level for a couple months now, where it's really been like, okay, we gotta shift something, right? Because we're not having our natural momentum in manifesting money. We gotta click something over, because sometimes what happens is your manifesting comes up here, and then there's gonna be other stuff for you to clear before you can get up to the next level, right? Or at least that's how I picture it in my head, and it doesn't have to be linear like that. But these are tips for you if you have a business and you're feeling like you're capped out at your current level of money manifesting, because you feel like the management side of it needs to click in first. It doesn't have to click in first, but if you feel like it does have to click in first, that's you being drawn to shift into like the management side of it before you can manifest more. Because what I run into a lot is a lot of business owners that get to a certain point before they hire me, where they are scared to make more money. They're actually scared to make more money beyond what they've made before, because they're scared of the taxes, they're scared of the IRS, they're scared of whatever, right? They're scared of that next level. So it's actually a fear that prevents them from manifesting more money until they've implemented like the skills behind it, right? The manifesting or the money management skills. So I'll talk about profitability. Let me read these comments. Followed your advice from the training, opened a new bank account. It helped me a lot to manage my money and change my vibe. That is so awesome. I'm so glad you tried that. That is so cool. Yeah, because that is, so for anyone that's watching this that doesn't know what she's talking about, I basically did a money training where I was talking about all the old stuffy energy that's in your bank account. So like if you've had your bank account since you were like 16 years old or 20 or whenever it was, you probably have a bunch of like dusty ass energy up in your bank account. Like think of all of the dollars that have like come in and out through that. Like sometimes I will just transfer all my money from one bank account to another bank account. Sometimes I keep it even or whatever, but I'll transfer everything to one bank account because I'm like, we need to get those like dollars out of there, like sage that, right? Or you open a new bank account because it's a fresh new vibe. It's a fresh new clean slate. It's like starting the planner on the first day of the month, right? You're opening up a brand new planner and it's the first day of the month. Like, you're not starting in the middle of the month. It's like a completely clean slate. And it gives your business this like renewed, professionalism vibe, right? And you feel different, you act different because you're not going to fuck up this bank account, right? Whereas before you in your old bank account, you might have had so many like weird things that you did in there, like where you feel a little icky about your decisions around money or something. So with a brand new bank account, it's just like this completely clean slate. So I'm so glad you tried that and it works. Christine says upper limits. Yeah, and to be honest, like when people explain upper limits to me, it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. So just being honest, like sometimes things like that, they take a long time for me to click. Like when people used to say embody, like embody it. Like I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Embody it. Like I couldn't understand what they were saying. And it takes a while for that to click. So like upper limits, I've heard that term and I've heard it described by so many people, but that just doesn't click with me. But it could also be because I've set the precedent that I can bring in large amounts of money. It's like the middle portion money that I'm having difficulty manifesting. It's like I can more easily vibrationally get behind like $3 million than I could probably get behind like a $50,000 month in my business. Like it's, so that could be why I also don't vibe with upper limits, because it's like I've always been that big dreamer that doesn't have the little steps to get there. Whereas some people might not ever be able to get behind like $3 million, but they can get behind $10,000 or $50,000 a month or whatever, like back to back, you know what I mean? So the plateau is an upper limit, but maybe that's also just a belief. Oh yeah, the plateau, yeah. So manifesting the money and then needing to lock in that next level through other stuff. Yeah, that could totally be upper limit. Okay, so if your business is small right now and you're like, fuck, I need to manifest more money, right? Sorry, I have to have all the beverages, a plethora of beverages to do a live. The best thing you can focus on is going to be the profitability in your business, because what successful manifestors do is they take the small little seed of something, the small little like mustard seed of faith, and they like propel that into momentum that brings things into your experience. So if you have a small business and it doesn't have as much money in it as you want it to be, what you would do is you would focus on how profitable your business is. So if you're a coach right now, right, and most of my clients are coaches, so that's why I'm saying that, but it could really apply to any business. You're a coach, write out your income for the month, whatever your income is, $1,200 a month. Like, let's just say you bring in $1,200 a month in your business, and you can look at that and go like, oh, fucking Joe Schmo on the internet is making $10,000 in a day, and I'm making $1,200 in a month. Like, what the fuck? That belief is not serving you, first off, but also there is so much more to having a successful business is not determined by the dollar amount. A successful business, in my opinion, is determined by how profitable it is, but also how like obviously flowy and soul-centered and everything it is, but the numbers are how profitable it is. So I've seen businesses that are bringing in $500,000 a year and their expenses they're losing money, right? They're actually losing money every year. Their expenses are more than their income. They have a negative profit margin. It's not a dollar thing. Your dollar amount doesn't determine how successful your business is. So if you want to boil that down to a smaller dollar amount, like focus on profitability, because that's a ratio, right? It's income to expenses. Like that's your ratio for profitability. So let's say you make $1,200 a month. You bought a new computer maybe last month and you put it on a credit card, so you're paying $100 a month on it or whatever. You have to pay $100 a month for your email subscriber thing, stock photos for your social media, Zoom subscription, right? Because you bought the Zoom subscription. website hosting, whatever, another $100 a month. So you're spending $200 a month to run your business. To run your business, it costs you $200 a month, right? Everything else is free. Organic marketing, social media, all that's free. Like it might cost you time, but it's not actually costing you dollars. So, and then if you're at the $1,200 a month mark, you might have other things that are coming into that. But just to make this simple, this is when I was starting out with my business. This is exactly what it is. PayPal fees. Yeah. Okay. Yes. PayPal fees. Good. Yeah. I was thinking, a lot of my clients, their PayPal, I don't actually see a ton of their PayPal fees because of the way QuickBooks like integrates with everything. But yeah, PayPal fees, right? Bank charges, PayPal fees, that's another $100 a month. The sun is ever moving. Wow, that's awesome. Blah, 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 blah. You make $1,200 a month in your business and your expenses are only $300 a month. That is a highly profitable business, right? Let's make it easier math. Let's make it $1,000 a month, $333. So you have 33% of your money is going to the expenses back into your business. So if you take that profitability, you take that little seed of like profitability, like, fuck yeah, I own a profitable business. Like I own a profitable business. My business is profiting $700 a month or whatever the figure is. My business is profiting $700 a month. That's amazing. Like, holy shit, I have a super profitable business. Most businesses don't have that high of a profit margin, which I think that would be like 66% or something like that. But don't quote me because I have to get a calculator to do all of that kind of stuff. So you're making $1,000 a month and it's $333 for your expenses. Now you can scale, right? Because you already have the base of like profitability. So now in your head, like you can take that and you can just like run with it and like tell yourself you're a profitable business owner, you're a successful business owner. It's going to be so much easier for you to manifest money like at that point. Then it's going to be for you to manifest money from the point of being drowned in your business before it's even profitable. Like scaling from that point is going to feel so much less abundant. It's going to feel like you're scaling from a place of scarcity because you need to manifest more money out of scarcity to pay for the increased expenses, right? And that comes down to, again, like what I'm going over in my program, in the intimacy program, is like not needing to get to a point where you're manifesting from scarcity anymore, getting to a point where you're manifesting from overflow or from abundance or from even being like financially comfortable, right? Getting to that point. So you're not doing this hot and cold, or as I call it, like Hail Mary manifesting, where you're just like you're putting yourself in a stressful situation so that you can bring yourself out of it, because being stressed around money is a more practiced vibration for you. Being broke is a more practiced vibration, and so it feels uncomfortable when you're not broke. So you have to bring yourself back down to being comfortable for you to be able to manifest from that point, right? You've gotten used to the adrenaline rush of it. You've gotten used to the hot and cold nature of it, and your relationship with money is then a little bit strained because, and in this intimacy launch, I totally have this awesome piece of content coming out that like you're treating money like a booty call. Like, why are you treating money like a booty call instead of like a wife or husband or partner, right? Why are you just calling money at 2 a.m, like, hey, you want to come over? You want to come hook up, right? Money wants a commitment from you. Like, money wants to be your significant other. Money wants to be your wife or husband, right? Like, money doesn't want to be a 2 a.m. booty call where you just call them when you need them. And so think about that. If you were to personify money, in a lot of my trainings, I talk about like your relationship with money is like a pet tortoise. Like, it's a super low maintenance pet and you can just like let it roam around and eat cucumbers and lettuce and stuff like that. Like, it's not a high maintenance type of relationship like a husband, wife, or partner, right? It's not like that. But like, if it was, what would money think about you? Like, for a long time, I'm sure money thought about me like I was a total bitch. Like, I was a total, man eater or whatever, right? Like, hey, money, are you up? I need you right now. Like, come on over. Like, that's not how money wants to be treated. So consider that. So consider that you are, if it was a relationship with a person or a pet or whatever, how are you telling money you want it to interact with you when you get $10,000 or you get $5,000 and you spend it down to zero, or the money is spent before it comes in, or you get paid and it comes out just as fast as it comes in? and you feel helpless, right? The cycle of helplessness, it's coming out, it's going in, it's coming out, it's going in, it's coming out. It's just like a passerby, like you never actually get to have it in your experience. How do you think money feels being just like dragged around like that, instead of developing and kind of like nurturing that energy of having money and like sitting with money and actually feeling how it feels to sit with money? Hopefully that makes sense. If that's like not making sense for anyone, please let me know, and let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know your feedback, like what's coming up for you around that. The point of all of that tangent was basically that you are taking that like mustard seed of faith in your business around it being profitable, and you are spiraling that, and you're like snowballing that momentum into bringing in more dollars, right? And then once you have that foundation, you have a foundation of profitability, it's going to be easier for you to manifest money. So again, if you're feeling like your income's here, and then you're right here with your money management skills and your mindset skills, like you gotta up this one to up this one. You don't really have to, but in your brain, you're telling yourself you have to up your skills before you up your money manifesting. So fuck it, just up your skills around it, right? And what that looks like is thinking about developing a budget, like actually getting intimate with your money, which is what my whole program is about. Intimacy. It's about getting intimate with your money, because a lot of people think they know what's going on with their money, but have they sat down with their bank statements? Have they even gone into their purse? What does your purse look like right now? Because I'm going to need you to go open your purse and tell me if you think that that's giving money a good place to go into, right? Getting familiar with how you're bringing money in through your business and what you're spending money on in your business. How much have you spent on X, Y, and Z so far this year? Getting into those details gives you so much clarity, and it gives you so much insight. And you think you know what's going on because you do it in your head. You do math in your head, or you log into your bank account. So you think you know what's going on, but it's not a thing where you're sitting down, spending time doing it, like almost like a ritual, right? You're not sitting down treating it like a relationship. It's just a quick thing. And it's probably because the more you would pay attention to it, the more you notice. And it does feel uncomfortable to have that kind of stuff brought up sometimes. I did a money course last year, 2018. And I brought up all this stuff from when I was in like 4th grade, not feeling good enough, feeling like the dumb kid in class, because I like went to this, I got accepted to this like, not special school, but like for more challenging school for my grade or whatever, where it's like extra assignments and stuff. And I was like the dumbest of the smart kids. And so I totally developed this whole self-consciousness persona and like total like identity around this. And I had no idea that that was so tied into my money until I just like popped that bubble and let it go. And I'm like, oh my God, feelings from 4th grade are like coming up today in my money mindset story. Like that is so crazy. You know what I mean? So how to actually have the money is developing a budget and getting intimate with your money with the activities I just mentioned. But because budgets, 99% of the people that talk about budgets are talking about it from a scarcity perspective. People that talk about couponing and saving money 99% of the time is talked about from a scarcity perspective, because you're automatically coming from the perspective that there's not going to be enough. So you need to save for the future, for emergencies and accidents and things like that. I don't vibe with that, and I don't vibe with that type of budget. So when I say budget, I more mean like literally get your money out on paper, like handwrite your money. Get familiar with what's going on. How are you spending it right now? That's your budget. Whether you know that or not, whether you're conscious of that, that's your budget. Like and I do know that some people do get really intimate with their money. They might just do it from a different place. Like, they do sit down and pay their bills and like really focus on what days things are due and stuff like that. Thank God for email reminders and text reminders. All my credit cards text me when I need to make a payment. Basically every bill I have texts me to make a payment. I'm like, perfect. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to sit here and like, what day is that due? It's just like they text me, I pay it. It works out perfect. So that's a budget, right? Just because you're not like diligent and militant about it doesn't mean it's not a budget. So a high vibe budget is something that doesn't feel like a compromise, something that feels expansive, and something that doesn't feel like your grandpa saving quarters to buy whatever. You know what I mean? Or just like, I feel like a lot of us with like grandparents that were born in like the 20s, 30s, 40s, like how my great grandma would act around money or anything. Right? If you had this big of a piece of food, like it doesn't matter, like you have to save it. Like you cannot throw that in the garbage, right? So much of that generation was conditioned into scarcity because of their environment, because of going through the Depression and the wars and stuff like that. And also just the general time, like there wasn't as much industrialization, things weren't as available to us. So there's a lot of actions that were taken out of scarcity. So not developing a budget like that, right, where you need a penny pinch and you need a coupon. Like, I'm sorry, but couponing is the most ridiculous shit in the world. Like, how much time do you spend doing that to overconsume? The whole point of overconsumption is fear that you're not going to have enough, right? Overconsumption is fear in disguise, because you wouldn't need to overconsume. You wouldn't need 17 bottles of, what the fuck is it called? Laundry soap. You wouldn't need 17 bottles of laundry soap if you felt good and expansive about your ability to be able to afford that in the future, right? You wouldn't need to store hundreds of pounds of things in your house if you really felt secure about it. If you felt like it was from abundance or whatever, if you're making a decision from abundance versus making a decision from scarcity. And I used to work retail, and that's why I can speak to that so much, is a lot of those people that were buying things, they were the couponers, was they were buying things with this competition and this fear mechanism. If you want to see, okay, this is a perfect example. If you want to see, just because I've been to Vegas so much, I love the buffets, like that's my jam in Vegas, right? You want to see some scarcity mindset, like go to a buffet right when it opens and see how people act around food. My relationship with food and really paying attention to that has helped me change so much on how I actually relate to abundance, because food is really synonymous with money in a lot of situations that relate to our abundance. So when you're over consuming food, like subconsciously, is it an overconsumption from this place of there's not going to be enough in the future, right? When you go to a buffet and it just opens and you see the frenzy, you see people like act like the food is running out. It's a buffet. Like there's gonna be enough food for everybody. You know what I mean? You don't have to like push people out of the way to get some, clams or whatever the fuck they were getting. Like, so noticing those behaviors, it's the same thing with a budget, right? It's the same thing with your money. And you're just like, oh my God, I gotta get all this money right now. I gotta get all this money right now. Like, I gotta get all of this. Like, no, you don't. Like there's enough. You're gonna get more. You're gonna get more money, right? You're not gonna, like Abraham Hicks talks about that. Like you wouldn't want to eat all the meals you're gonna eat in your whole lifetime today. Like you want it spread out day after day, right? So just a little side note there. My grandpa used to do that, buy tons of canned goods. Yeah, and my grandparents used to do that too, where it got to the point, well, and they had a farm too. But yeah, it got to the point where it's just, you got a house packed full of stuff that you're never going to use. And I think some preparation for things like natural disasters or whatever is like super smart or whatever. And I don't worry about that because of where I live. There's like nothing really that could happen here besides the sun gets too hot or something. But I understand it from that perspective, getting snowed in, that kind of thing. But seeing how, like, more often than not, it was a decision based out of scarcity instead of a decision based out of, like, comfort and abundance, really. The decision to buy stuff didn't make them feel abundant, right? And that leads to my last point, or what I'm going to kind of end off with here, is buying expensive things so that you feel abundant. Because I feel like when we talk about spending it like it's hot, spending money like it's a hot coals burning your bank account. I have another piece of content written about that for this launch. Why are you spending money like it's hot coals burning your hands? Like, sit with it. Like, just chill out with some money in your hands. And I think something to do, if you feel that fire, if you get that deposit and you're like, I gotta spend it. First off, intimacy is really going to be for you because it's your perfect opportunity to address some of those behaviors. But also, an easy tip is getting in the physical presence of money. Being around money in your physical environment really helps soften that, and it helps soften that anxiety that you have, or that scarcity that you feel when you physically see money, is just kind of like having it out. So if you need to go to the bank and pull out $100 or a couple $100 or whatever, one of Isaac and I's favorite things back at our old apartment was we would put our rent money out. We'd spread it on this beautiful tray I had with all these crystals and everything like that. We just spread like $1,000 out or whatever our rent was for a couple days. So we'd just be looking at $1,000 for a couple days. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much you can do around that, like small things to shift. It's crazy. I don't like buffets. The buffets in Vegas are so good, though. And actually, there's a really good one here in Scottsdale, too, that we go to sometimes because they have crab legs, and I love crab legs. But, yeah, sometimes buffets do weird me out, though, because it is a lot of energy to be around, and people get very primal around food. And being primal around food is natural. It's like a natural instinct for us because we need to feed ourselves. And when you boil, so that's kind of the same thing when you boil down the essence of money, it's survival. The reason we have anxiety around money is the essence of survival, because that is our survival tool. Work is just like, our jobs are just an evolved version of survival. Now we're at a point in our consciousness and in the world's consciousness where like people pay for spiritual services now, you know what I mean? So like your work can be survival, like evolved survival to like the highest extent or whatever. But there's a lot of people that are working and doing physical labor, and it is their physical survival. So money is the symbol of survival. It's not a fire that we're starting every night to cook our wild boar that we just hunted in the caves, or you know what I mean? Like, we're not cavemen anymore. So our needs and everything have evolved to this place where now like we have so much of a more enlightened or multi-dimensional economy, you know what I mean? But money still boils down to that survival. And that's why it does relate to food so much, because food is the other symbol of survival for us, you know? Practicing more ease with money, allowing flow instead of desperately seeking. Here it's just snowstorms. Yeah, so Christine, are you in Manitoba, or where do you live again? Because let me tell you, I've attracted so many Canadians in the last couple of days. Like, it's just been crazy. And one girl I didn't even know was Canadian. And then a lot of this complex where I live is like the term snowbirds. So Canadians that come down here for the winter because it's really cold in Canada or whatever. Everyone at the pool yesterday was Canadian except me and Isaac. Like, we were the only ones that actually lived here. And it was just such a funny, like, situation. Like, you think there'd be more people that actually live here in Phoenix, but it was just, I was in a pool full of Canadians, and I'm like, how did I manifest all of these Canadians in my life? So, an hour from Niagara Falls. Oh, okay, that's really cool. I've been to Niagara Falls. That's awesome. I'm just learning Canada geography now because someone told me they were saying they live in Winnipeg or something. I'm like, I have no idea where that is. Sorry. Because we love you. Yes, and I have family in Canada too, so I feel like it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm getting vibes to like go up there or something. I used to have a scarcity mindset around food and money. I agree, they are interrelated. Absolutely. A lot of people have that. A lot of people feel that scarcity, and then they feel pleasure in depriving it too, right? Like, they feel pleasure in eating cheap. I'll never forget this guy I used to work with that would go to Costco and get a hot dog and a drink for $1.50. And I know I've written about this somewhere, so I'm sorry if you've heard this before. I used to work with him. $1.50 drink. a drink and a hot dog. So to him, that was like such a fucking steal, because what a normal fast food lunch would cost like $4 or $5 or something. And so to him, it's like, oh my God, I'm saving $4 every day eating a hot dog and a soda. And so at some, like by the 10th day of him doing this, I'm like, do you really want a hot dog every day? Because I don't know about you, but like I'm capped at like a couple days of hot dogs in a row. Like I'm done. I don't need another hot dog for another month or 2 or 3 or 4. So he was actually, and come to find out, he explained it to me that he actually saves money doing this. And so he does it for the money, and because it's a lot of calories and it fills him up, and it's $1.50. So that decision is based in scarcity, obviously, right? Like it's easy to look at someone that does something like that and say like, wow, clearly you're making this decision out of scarcity. You could have the best fast food lunch in the world for $25 a week, and why don't you just make like $20 extra a week? Like why is it always cutting down? Most budgets are about cutting down expenses, and a lot of people do need to cut down expenses, but why is it always about cutting down instead of making more money? Why is it about cutting down $20 a week and depriving yourself of personal pleasure instead of just increasing your money marginally, like a tiny fraction of a percent, you know? Buying food I desire only when it's on sale. That's the thing I've noticed. Yep. So, hot dog cap. Yeah. Like I can't, I get tired of hot dogs really quick. Like I would be okay just eating one hot dog a year probably. Like that would satisfy it for me. I used to love, when I was vegetarian, I loved, veggie corn, the corn dogs, the frozen, fake hot dogs, corn dogs or whatever. Those were my thing. So that's a thing. Buying the food when it's only on sale. Yeah. And only getting things because they're on sale. Right. And I think that it could be different. It could be reframed. So you go to a store and you see something you wouldn't normally buy, but it's on sale. And it's like, ooh, this would be fun to have this like $30 bottle of wine for $15. Like that is an expansive experience when it's not expansive. So that's a great example. Like, oh, my favorite cheese is like $18 a pound or something. And so it's never on sale, but sometimes I'm just like, oh, this is an expansive activity for me to like buy this little wedge of cheese for myself. Like that feels really great to do, and making it notable, even if it's just one thing, and then you buy the rest of the stuff on sale because you're like on a budget or whatever, but because you splurged on that one thing, it's still going to have the dominant feeling of abundance, you know? So make more money to enjoy more overflow. Yeah. And for me, I think I blame my dad for my really sophisticated food palate, because I was like 7 or 8 years old and we were going to like these really nice dinners. My dad used to be a chef at an Italian restaurant. So like I have always kind of had like a really not childlike palate for things. Like I wasn't like a Cheetos and soda kind of little kid. I was more like a antipasta platter kind of kid, if that makes sense. So like food for me is something I cannot compromise on when it comes to abundance. So like I'll get like Target or Walmart clothes if it means that I get to eat like the steak I want to eat or drink the wine I want to drink. Like that is so much more of that makes me feel more abundant. And that actually leads perfectly into the last thing I was going to talk about, which is buying expensive things so that you feel abundant, because that is such a trickly kind of situation to get yourself in that snowballs really fast. And then all of a sudden you're just like you're addicted to buying things, right? You're addicted to buying things because it makes you feel abundant. I've never connected food and money makes so much sense. Yes, totally. I don't drink, but I love drinking San Pellegrino and Italian soda. It's my treat, but so is Starbucks most days. It's a social get out of the house thing since I'm working from home. I totally get it. Like I have to get out of the house too sometimes. And so that $5 is like, that's okay. Like it's a necessary business expense at that point, right? Okay, so buying expensive things so you feel abundant. I notice this with so many entrepreneurs, especially, but also people in my family that I've really helped shape. I've helped one person significantly in my family completely reshape their whole view of money and like allow them to actually experience money on a level that they've never been able to experience before. And that feels really great. And I'm so like excited about that. And the main quality that I called out in that person, or the main habit that I brought awareness to, was that when you have money in your bank account, your need to spend it, your like desire to have it, to spend it, to buy something to make you feel abundant because you just went however many days or weeks without any money in your bank account. So now you want to feel abundant to make up for that couple weeks that you didn't have money. It leads to fiscal irresponsibility, because what you do is you're just spending it because you desperately want to feel abundant, because you haven't been able to feel abundant because of your financial reality, right? You can feel abundance at any income level with any sort of like material possessions. You can feel that abundance. And so when you buy something needlessly expensive because you need to convince yourself it'll make you feel more abundant, that is such a trickly trap. And it's only going to lead to you buying more expensive and more expensive things. And take it from me as someone that used to do that so much, and take it from me as someone that used to be a part of that family. I mean, it was like a total, we had this nice house and not too much else going on there, if you know what I mean. Or we can go have, which whatever, that's all just like semantics to feeling abundance. But basically, if you're overcompensating in one area, if you have $1 million house, but you can't afford any furniture to put in it, right? You're doing something to make $1 million house is going to make me feel abundant, but really $1 million house with no furniture in it probably won't make you feel abundant, right? Just like a brand new Audi or a brand new Mercedes might make you feel abundant in the sense that you want to drive a nice car because maybe it doesn't fit what you picture. Your higher self is driving that car, right? So you want to drive that car. Totally understand that, totally get that, but it doesn't need to provide you with the feeling of abundance. Like, abundance can come if you're driving a beat up 2002 Chevy Cavalier, which is Isaac's old car. So we would always make jokes, like Isaac would always make jokes because he had like tons of money, right? Or, winning $100,000 back to back like that. Like, you think the first thing you would go do is buy a new car. No, Isaac's car was fine. Like, it didn't have a lot of miles on it. It was chill. Like, he liked his car. He didn't want a new car. And so it was always our running joke that, like, we would pull up somewhere fancy in, like, his shitty beater car. And, like, it was just really funny, like, to picture it. And so we'd always make jokes about that. So anyways, you can feel abundant driving, like, a crappy car because it's not actually the car that's going to make you feel abundant. You just think it is. So Crystal, never had food as a kid. Now as a mama, we always have way too much food. Been really good with money mindset, but holy cow, food is something I've noticed I have a scarcity mindset around. Yeah, and that's how, so I noticed that in my family too. My great grandma and my grandma, had these post World War II, like, save every scrap of food kind of habits that trickled down to my parents, that then trickled down to me. And then all of a sudden I'm like, why am I doing this? You know what I mean? Why am I like hoarding food? So just like you would hoard money, like a cheap or stingy person would hoard money because they're scared of it ever going out. Like, why am I not eating that thing until like the day before it expires? Because I need to tell myself it needs to stay in there. Like, there can't be flow out, right? Which would be consumption of food. Like, that food cannot flow out of my fridge. It needs to stay in my fridge. Like, hoarding behaviors around that. So social wealth, but not true wealth. Feeling of abundance is always available. Yes. Thank you for reiterating that, because the reason I started the intimacy program is because I was helping a lot of people in this area, and it is so easily like that those behaviors are so easily diminished once you bring awareness to them. And a lot of times you get awareness to them by getting intimate with your money and having accountability around that. So that's actually what like inspired me to start it, is because I was helping so many clients in that area, and also like my family members and stuff like that. So I think the piece of content I wrote around this was like, you decided you needed Christian Louboutins before you needed to pay your rent because you convinced yourself Christian Louboutins are going to make you feel abundant. Like expensive shoes, like material items do have an energy behind them, and they do have a beautiful energy, and they do have an upgraded energy when you have an expensive handbag or when you eat like an expensive dinner or something. Luxury items do have abundance codes within them and can activate things within you. I'm definitely not downplaying that, but until you're at the point where you can actually afford them, like without being able to finance them heavily or whatever it is, like you are just convincing yourself you need to have them. And so that's the next part of having your manifestation. You've manifested the money and now you want to have it. Like the second paradigm of money manifesting is having the money. Don't spend the money before you have the money. Like you don't need to spend at a different income level than what you're at to make yourself feel abundant, because that level, that next level that you're going to spend at is never going to end. It's going to go all the way up to Bill Gates or whoever the hell's at the top. Like you're chasing that feeling that is always going to be a moving target with money. So once you get really grounded in your current financial reality and intimate with where that's at, and have the experience of having $5, $10, 15, 20, 70, $100,000 in your bank account, you are naturally guided to spend in a way that feels expansive, and it doesn't feel like a decision based off scarcity, because you're trying to spend to overcompensate for your lack of abundance vibes. That's it right there. Trying to spend to overcompensate for your scarcity vibes. You think the spending is going to cancel out the scarcity energy you got going on, and it doesn't. It never cancels it out. It's just going to amplify it. It's just going to amplify it at a different level. So you always want your manifestation because you think you'll feel better in the having of it. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that, for the first couple times I heard that, I'm like, well, duh. Like, yeah, I'm going to feel better when I have it. Like, I am going to feel better when I have it. And then the second I can flip that to, okay, now I do feel it, right? I can feel it. And the feeling of it helps it spiral into your life faster. So finding the balance and ease of flowing in and flowing out without being desperate and needy on either side. Face the energy and make peace with it to release the charge. Yes, love it. Yay, thank you. So yeah, and that's really what, again, we're going to be diving into in Intimacy. It does start September 19th, so there's still some time to sign up. And the early bird price for it is $444. I don't even know how long I've been on here. Hopefully not too long. $444 until the 13th, so Friday the 13th. And it's going to be 4 weeks. Like I was explaining earlier, like super accountability, group calls, homework assignments. Like it is not for you to sign up and then like think that you're doing it later. Like it is a very now in the moment transformation of your financial habits. So if you're interested in that, or if any of this live like resonated with you, then just feel free to reach out to me or comment below. And thank you so much everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys soon.